Okay, so I'm going to talk about improving your relationship with your partner again. Now, this probably works in any type of relationship, but probably most relevant to your intimate relationships. So, are you getting sick of your partner being cranky all the time or being negative? Maybe they're lazy, they don't pick up after themselves, they don't do the stuff they say they're going to do, they're late all the time. Maybe they're just mean to you. They say mean things to you, or I don't know, all the other things that annoy us about our partners. You know, you've probably heard me say this before. Every relationship has problems. Every person that you are in that you could be in a relationship with is just going to bring a different set of problems, and hopefully it's a set of problems that you can deal with. There's no deal breakers. So I'm going to try to help you today by sharing some information with you that I think it's the way to go. I think it's the way to create change and improve your relationship. So when I do couples counseling, I often have these couples that come in, and it's always fun for me to try to, as quickly as I can, figure out, and usually just by asking them, but figure out whose idea was it to come to counseling. Now, sometimes it's both, and sometimes it's equal amounts, like they both want to be there, and that's very evident. But oftentimes, there's one person that wants to be there, and then I try to figure out, like, how pissed off is this other person that they have to be there. Most people are pretty gracious, even if they don't want to be there at all. They're pretty nice, so it sometimes takes a little while to figure that out, like how bad they want to get the heck out of there. So the reason I say this is because oftentimes when we're dissatisfied with our partner, with their behavior, or even just dissatisfied in the relationship, we try to change them. And everybody knows, you all know, you can't change somebody. People say that all the time. You can't change somebody, you can't change somebody, but we keep trying to. And oftentimes, by the time they show up in my office, they are bringing their partner to see if I can change them, which I generally can't. I don't have much more success than the person that is bringing them. So oftentimes the conversation eventually goes to where I say to them, you kind of have three options right now. In fact, I've said this so many times, I even challenge people to show me a fourth option, because if there is one, I would like to know what it is. And so please share in the comments of this video if you can think of a fourth option. But here's the three options. One, you can leave the relationship. This is usually the hardest of the three. Most of the time when people are coming into my office, that they're not at that point. If they wanted to leave the relationship, they probably already would have. Probably this thing or these issues that they're coming with aren't necessarily deal breakers, although they could turn into deal breakers at some point. So number one, leave them if you want. Number two, try to get them to change. In other words, keep trying to get them to change. And if you've brought them here to have me try to change them, you're probably going to have to, I'll try to help you however I can help you guys, but that's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to inspire change in this person. And then people will maybe up their game and they'll start threatening and give ultimatums and stuff like that. Highly ineffective. So here's the third option. The third option is change how you view the situation. And this is the one where people usually kind of take a deep breath and just go, because they already know that option one is not an option that they want. They know that option two, because when I say it to them, I'll say option two is you can try to change them or keep trying to change them. And almost every single person replies by saying, Well, you can't change somebody. You can't. Yeah, of course you can. So change yourself. You know, it's not your responsibility, but if this person's not going to change, and by the way, if they haven't changed already, they probably aren't going to, just by you continuing to use whatever tactics that you're using to try to get them to change. You have to come up with something new. So change your relationship to what it is that is bothering you. How do you do that? Well, you have automatic processes. You have automatic thoughts and feelings that arise when this behavior happens. And they're automatic and they keep happening. And if you can become mindful of them, if you can in the moment kind of sit with those feelings and try to figure out, where do they come from? What part of me does not like this, and why do I not like this? Most of us are pretty controlling people. We try to control our environment. And so we're just kind of naturally trying to control. Our partner does X, we have a thought preceded by a feeling, and we're dissatisfied. And it's just like this automatic process again. So sit with that process and figure out, why is this? Sometimes it's maybe a defense mechanism that you have, or it's like you're being triggered on some feelings that you experienced as a child, maybe feelings of abandonment or feelings of unworthiness, or all sorts of different feelings that might be being triggered. And so if you can get comfortable and accept, if you watch any of my videos, you hear me talk about acceptance a lot. Just accept it and not react to it, because your reactions are keeping this problem going. I'm not saying it's your fault, but when you use the tactics that we generally use, like yelling at them or ridiculing them or giving them ultimatums or withdrawing from them, giving them the silent treatment, all these different things that we all use, which basically are the things that we used as a child to cope, and we still use them as adults. When you do this, it triggers a response in your partner. It does not provide an environment for your partner to change. So oftentimes what happens when you let go of this and you stop responding to it, because that's the thing you have control over. That's the only thing you have control over. You clearly don't have control over them, but you do have control over how you respond, and somewhat of control how you feel, if you can get in and figure out where these feelings are coming from. Well, if you can do that, what ends up happening is you've now changed the script. You've now taken the pressure off of your partner. They're feeling pressure. And by the way, it's not that they don't want to change. They've got their own stuff going on. And the other thing is, if you start to accept this and if you stop responding to it, don't feel like your partner is going to not know what's bothering you. You've made it very clear. They know exactly what they do that you don't like. When we take that pressure off of them, that creates space and possibility for change. Oftentimes, this is when people change, is when they stop hearing us complaining about it. Now, I always caution people, don't use this as another tactic to try to get them to change. Because if it doesn't work and they don't change, or they don't stop this behavior, you're going to be really angry. And there's going to be lots of resentment. Don't do that. Do this for yourself. Take control of what you can take control of. Take responsibility for what you can take responsibility for. And I promise you, the worst thing that happens if you're able to do this is that you become more resilient. You become a better person. You become somebody who's able to deal with things, because probably the same reactions that you're having, that your partner is causing, you're probably having those reactions in other areas of your life. And if you build resilience and acceptance with your partner, it will carry over into other areas. So you do become better. It's a win. It's a win-win for everybody. And if your partner changes, that's all the better. So give it a shot. Don't expect perfection. It's tough. This is really tough. I mean, you are trying to change these automatic patterns. By the way, they're patterns that have lots of history and resentment and anger behind them, right? You've been dealing with them for a long time sometimes, and sometimes you've been dealing with them your whole life. It's like other people, maybe your parents or whatever, were causing these same reactions in you. So give yourself some grace, give it a try, see what happens. And the best case scenario is that your partner notices it and they feel less pressure and they start to make change. And then they start to like you more because there's less tension, less conflict. You're easier to like when you're less angry, right? We all are. So give it a shot. See what you think. Let me know. Comment on this if you have any thoughts about this, you want to add to it, or if you have any questions about this, please, I'd love to hear them. Like this video, share it if there's anybody that you think could benefit from this. It'd be fantastic.